chart. Honestly, everything is a single print below. There's not much value at all being built. They're just running. Did everybody, most of you have a good day, or how did you guys trade today?
No trade.
Not great.
I said no trade.
Oh, no, great. Oh, no trade. I said no, great. I was like, okay, well, that's pretty harsh.
I was in office today, so no trades.
Oh, CK, you didn't take anything.
Yep.
Yeah, they gave us a few chances today. Handful. That's good. All right, well, we kind of hit, I would say we pretty much hit everything that we needed to hit in terms of the price action, right? If you guys go on extended here and you see, right? So this is pretty much where, why is this day ignored for me? Oh, because of the gap. Where the hell is it? Okay, there it goes.
RTH?
Where's there it goes. I was missing that candle, I guess. There's a reason for it. Okay, so let me move this around a little bit. So PD value area high will shift. Man, that's a massive gap. That's just a massive hole. There, so we have the weekly repoc. Man, they shifted the value like what, 100 points? Yep.
RTH or ETH, Shorty?
ETH is supposed to be, that's correct. Okay. I'm dyslexic again.
Even you?
Man, that is just disgusting to look at. But hey, they did it. Did anyone believe they would do it today? I had a gut feeling they're gonna run it, but that's why I posted. If you guys remember, I posted in a chat last night. Did anyone read that? What I posted about why it looked bullish? I asked you guys if you had any comments.
Yeah.
It looked like they wanted it higher, right? And obviously, being so high to this, close to this level of 45.15, I think you guys probably know that I was looking for this level to kind of get here. I did enter some puts, right? And if they break tomorrow 45.23, I'll just close those SPY puts for a loss. But this is the opportunities that I look for, right? And when I say, break, I really want to see them close. And that's okay if I can handle 50% loss on the SPY options. If your appetite's less, right? If you got in or if you didn't, I don't care. That's how I'll manage it tomorrow, right? And I know there's a little bit of a gap here at 45.44. I believe that's on 8 hours. You can see it. See, where is it? Thought there was a gap here somewhere, 45, 44. Can't see it like this. Maybe not. I don't see the gap there. Thought there was a gap besides this gap at the top, 45.70. All right, no worries. Obviously, we're in a P-shaped profile. We have a huge volume node. So tomorrow, what would you expect to see? If we do lose this, value area low, let's call it 97, you can't expect a bounce here. And that's how I would look for it right here. This would be the level that you're looking for a potential bounce here. Does everybody understand why?
Single print.
High volume node.
Yeah, this is your this is your high volume node on the P-shaped profile. And usually what they do is they trip you below. They will lose this and then they would go higher, probably break this high as well, if that's the case. If right out of the gate tomorrow, let's say we're kind of just stuck here. Out of the gate, if they pop over this, you gotta wait for a retest. Otherwise, you might not like it. I believe PPIs tomorrow as well. So the stuff that you saw today, let me give you a clue what can happen tomorrow.
The exact opposite.
Well, we can
Oh,
also
okay, that too.
it can also go up, right? So obviously they had the CPI news, they popped it, right? Giant candle, but like almost 50, 60 points up, and then they gave you nothing after hours, and all but 93 points in this massive run occurred during RTH. To give you guys that, out of 400 points, only 93 occurred during regular times. Everything else was a gap up. It's pretty crazy if you ask me. Probably unheard of. Okay. On 4 hours, did you guys check the charts lately on 4 hours to see the monthly profiles at all?
Not the recent.
All right.
Yes.
I know we
show
got
them to you.
August value high still up there at 45, 45.
So I just want to bring it up and kind of give a quick lesson, right? So for new people, before you guys joined, I think I was pretty annoying with this 4140 level for some time. I think it's been since, I would say, July. I was talking about once we get to 4140, and eventually we got to the 4140 level and we bounced. These are monthly profiles, right? And what you care about is the extreme highs, the POCs, and value area lows. At those levels, this is where your other time frame buyers or sellers show up, right? So now when you think about it, the people that missed this long here, what do you think they're doing now?
They have FOMO.
They have FOMO, right? When you get FOMO, most likely you're going to initiate longs and you're going to do the price discovery probably yourself. You're going to be like, okay, I'm buying SPY calls. We're going all-time highs, and they start loading up. And then all of a sudden you get like a nasty, and I talk about nasty candle because they have to do it quick to kill your calls, right? They do a sharp drop and your calls are gone, right? I mean, it's almost the same thing for puts. Like today, if anyone had puts, poof, they're gone, right? So now if you think about it, if your risk to reward here was great, right? That 4140, if you put 20, 30 point stop loss on swings, you would do well. But now if you think about it, you have August POC that's right here, and guess what we rejected today? Exactly there. You also have, I mean, if you look at it, you have September POC at 45.12. You have June value area high sitting at 44.97. I mean, this area here just gets really congested with number of buyers and sellers that were playing here at the extremes, right? And you have this POC that's right in the middle at 13, which is September. So this is not where I'm interested in initiating longs. Is there a chance that I can miss between 45 and 462? Yeah, and what would be the issue of missing? The most of you catch this. I would say some of us did catch this, right? Whether it was options on Tesla or buying shares of different stocks, adding them or playing ES once we reclaim some of the levels, right, on the bullish side. But now if you look at it, how many traps can they execute here is insane. How many different buyers you have. So if you look here, for instance, this area here would be your 2-month POC, correct? So now watch. This would be your 2-month POC, a pretty good consolidation, right? When you zoom in like this, it goes like up to here, pretty good, right? They consolidated, they came to here, and then they popped down, they came back a little bit, retest to this level, and boom. But this is your 2-month area, right? So if you go from here to here, you accumulated 2 months, and then you put in, excuse me, you broke down from this balance, and look where you are right now. That on 8 hours is coming up to be right there. On my 4 hours, it's a 45.24. You're literally sitting in a 2-month POC that did what? Think about structure
Sold
that we
off.
talk about. I mean, it created lower lows, right? It created lower lows. It's just that this demand here that I would say we are pretty aware of this demand here was pretty strong, and we did not break this demand. Now, if they cannot break above this balance here, what do you think they have to do?
They draw.
Yeah, they'll have to
Reversion to the
draw.
mean.
Low.
They probably have to come back at least to this level right here. This would be the bottom of this value, of the 2-month value. If the value area high, this is value area low, and this is the range bottom. So they're most likely coming back somewhere at 4,400, which would make sense, right? That's the 2-month value area low. And also it happens to be an even number, right, that retail loves. So what a better way to even, set up a nice little trap here. They come here and then they dump it. They go to 43.50, which happens to be what level? Does anyone remember? This line here. From monthly levels, what level is that?
Thought it was like the
Remember-
run up POC, wasn't it?
Do you remember June value area low when we hit the initial bounce right here? Remember this? Oops. Remember this June POC, guys, when we had the bounce right here, sometimes in August, it came back to 43.50. Now, if they want to go higher, they don't go higher from here. They're going to have to build time and volume. They're going to have to create value here. They're going to have to go and maybe consolidate here before they move up. And now think about from market makers' perspective, if they got played here, let's say they got played here, what do you think they're going to do with the options now? While people are loading on the calls and expecting, because when you play options, you need a directional move in your favor, right? But what if they just stay here? What happens to the calls here or puts below? The value just goes down because you have something called theta, right? So it's not in their favor just to keep this running, right? And I would say we are far from that moment, but let's see, right? They've been buying like crazy. I know that much. But it doesn't make sense logically that they're just going to rip higher. So you can expect some pullbacks right now. When you look at this on a daily, right? I mean, it looks like a V-shaped recovery, right? You have, you consolidated it here. You came back to 41.40. You put in a higher high. Remember, we talked about this level during the class as well. They cleaned this up. So if they come back tomorrow, let's say by some miracle, 44.30 off of PPI, that's not a bad level to initiate long, right? Because they have this little demand here off of that you could use for a long. Ideally, right, if they give you something like here at this level, that would be better. Why?
You mean for a bounce?
It's a POC.
It's a massive POC.
Okay.
This
Yep.
is where they accumulated. This is what you would be looking for, praying for, that you get it, right? To get a decent pullback. Because then everybody would go short. And this would be a decent level for them to go long, right? Because this is now, when you think about it, from October 26th to 14th, I mean, 3 or 4 weeks of data and the POCs right here. So now it would be pretty smart from them to pull back, right? If they do pull back somewhere in between, look at your daily candle, right? Not much, here in terms of volume because all of it occurred before the market opened. All they have is a little bit on the top here, and the volume, when you look at it, right? I don't know if you guys looked at it on different time periods, but does this check out to you guys? You guys need
No, poor structure.
I don't know if you guys need.
It's all below average, right?
Yeah, it's definitely below the average, 20-day average. And as you're moving, let's say from here to here, what's volume doing?
Decreasing.
Yep. And
Right
then
now.
here, you have this candle and it's a little increase. You have a smaller candle, you have a bigger candle. So relative to the other candles, this checks out. But when you compare this body candle here, it doesn't really check out much. I wouldn't think that it's, at least you got to break below the average if you're going to do that. If you look here, let's say this candle right here, I would say these candles probably are similar here between this one and this one. That's 80 points. And this one 104. So this one has 20 more points, 24 more points, but the volume is a little bit different, right? This one has a little bit more volume. This one has less volume, bigger body. So in terms of relative to the chart, it looks like a little bit, it's not doesn't check out too much yet. But when you compare it to the recent run up, I mean, it's better than what we are seeing. So this candle is not an anomaly, right? Small body, small volume. This one is okay, but then this one compared to these, right? If you look at this candle here, I would say that's relatively close. Again, 82 points on this one. And this one has almost the same kind of volume. This one here, smaller volume. So relative volume, I don't just see it yet. Maybe they're buying, but to me, that's just not aggressive buying. Because if you compare it, go back to like 2020. When you go here, what do you see? I mean, you had stopping volume here, which was good, right? About 20 or whatever this level is, 3,000. Then if you go here, you can see some buying, like pretty far away from the average, right? They're pumping this up, like they want to buy. And then you have some buying that occurred here, some decent stopping volume. And then you had this massive hammer here that pretty much did nothing with a lot of volume. And then they proceeded to go higher. And I don't think we ever really tested this here. Let's see. Oh, we did. I guess we did here in October. Okay, so now I really need them to auction, above this 24. If they go above 24, what's the next level? Literally on your screen.
53.
It'd be 45, then you're gonna have 67, then 86 and 62. Pretty much every one of these is gonna hit one by one. And you can expect retests and go longs, but you see that your points in between are getting what? A little tighter.
Congested.
Yeah, it's a little congested. There's a lot of potential for rejections. Now you're kind of looking, it's almost like when you're selling a product. At what point are the profits maximized? And at what point do sellers say, this is enough, let me sell here? Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So now when I do this, right, I just wanted to make sure you guys are catching that this sell-off here was a 2 months accumulation that basically triggered this. So now if they're able to crack that, then we know they're probably going to hit this overnight 21 points and we proceed potentially, to clean up this, I would say, liquidity that's sitting top at 67.25 on ES. And then ultimately they could also come here, right, between these areas, July POC. I would be looking, to see if they get to these levels here. This is where they can execute a lot of traps, right? Because you're returning to the normal, right? We change the character here now, then you have another high to be taken out. If you take this one out, the only one remaining would be the all-time high, right? And then they can go higher and proceed, right? I'm not interested buying, the all-time high breakouts considering the macro news, and it might be me being pessimistic, but when I was I mentioned this trick many times to you guys. If I was to give you this chart, right, and I give you this box right here and I cover it, right, would you buy this? Let's see. Let's see here. Would you buy this? Would you buy
No.
anywhere where this is?
No.
I mean, to me, for me to be really, really bullish, we need to make sure that we test some lows. I don't think we've had necessarily a lot of good news. I think they manipulate the news to their likings and their positionings and inventory imbalances. But this doesn't make, sense for me to be looking so bullish when I believe I can get value cheaper elsewhere, right? So that's what I'm kind of waiting for, right? If we're able to crack over this, then ideally what you want to see when I play all-time longs, what do you want to see when you break this? One is definitely volume. You want to see volume spike. Because that, I mean, think about it. You're talking about a stock market that's trillions of dollars, right? And you're going to move that initiation on a low volume.
Yeah.
I am just not sure, and I'm just thinking out loud logically, which hedge fund is like, hey, release all the funds and buy here.
Definitely nothing like today, right?
And the way I see what's playing now is there's a lot of money being put into passive ETFs, and that's your Vanguards, all the different ETFs that who uses those?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know how that works? Who uses those passive funds?
401ks? Retirements.
401ks, retirements, right? Because they charge you guys management fees of 2%, sometime less, to manage your money, and they go to Vanguard. It's like, hey, we'll just buy it. And they actually average sometimes higher, right? Your average might be 240 on let's say on SPYs or Qs, and the time comes and you're buying at 350. And what happens to your average? It goes higher. Instead of lowering your average of cost, they're going to be increasing. And then eventually, when they need to sell, they're going to sell in large quantities, right? And basically, they're indirectly playing against you because they see the positioning and they can offload and load. So it's not that difficult, right? I honestly think this was the quarterly purchases happening on the 401ks, which, have a lot of say in. So just look up brokerage link if you're interested in your 401k that you buy yourself. That's not a financial advice. I'm just telling you there's options where you can brokerage out of your 401k and buy individual stocks and different stuff than what they do for you. Okay. All right, let me go back to 65 minutes. I just want to look at the weekly again. And I'll turn it on. So here's your weekly profiles. And if you guys look here, closely, so you have that POC that we're aware of, right? At that 43 to 45 level, you guys see that there's a handful of value area highs that are there, right? So you have, at least 2 weeks that they have the value area highs, and that 2-month value area highs at 47. So, what I typically do is when these levels are tight like this, there's no reason for me to draw, a bunch of levels. Why not just a low zone and you treat it as a supply zone, right? If you're able to crack that, 45, I can see us going to probably 67, small rejection there of a liquidity. But eventually, I would think that they're going to be heading somewhere here, 76, ultimately hitting 45.90. If they're able to reclaim this, then what you do is you look for July value area high. There's a high chance that if they reclaim this, that they're going to go 46.22. Because remember, you have the extreme value area low, you have the POC and the value area high. 80% rule is reclaim a value area low to the highs. But if you reclaim that POC of the monthly, the odds of that value area high getting tapped is much higher, right? The probabilities really go in your favor. So if you want to find, right, in terms of where you are, like I mentioned, you go on the monthlies first. And I'm repeating this because we have some new people. I just want to make sure they're on board what and why we do this. I'm just going to delete this fella here. And we're going to delete this guy. Okay, so now if you look here, this is your August value area high. If you get out of that one, then your next one is September. So not a lot of meat here to, for me personally to purchase this. If you, reclaim July POC, to me, this one would be my favorite, even though it's at the top of the recent highs. But that will be the one that has the best level for me to, make some money. In here is going to be quick. You're going to be really executing on accuracy, not necessarily on a lot of points. Like today, I was up on one contract, almost 100 points, but I stepped away for a little bit. And I was able to catch about 75 back after we bounced them into the highs. But it's for me, I like to have the runners running and making more money than what I initially made, let's say with the 4 contracts. And I just slowly move my trailing, not too tight. I give them, room to breathe. If you look at your average true range, you're able to tell what's the stop loss you can handle, right? Find the level, add the average true range, and just trail with that level. But here it's going to be super tight for initiating longs. And you guys see here, I'm just giving you the whole, where's your highest volume for today? I'm on 4 hours. Your highest volume is on the smallest body. What does that mean?
They were selling.
Converging?
Say it again.
They were selling.
Yeah. They were selling. This is called absorption. You have a high, you have a high, I would say hammer, right? Or if you want, I don't think it's a gravestone, but it's a doji, some kind. And they're not able to, we put in higher highs, but not with a single body here. So if you're able to reclaim this level 20, you're somewhat bullish here and you're watching it, right? Even though this high came in at later in the afternoon, they tapped that level perfectly. Ideally, we want this to go here, and then I don't know why this looks so squarish. And we want them to hit 45. So that's what I'm watching tomorrow. 45, I would say this level 41 to about 47 or so is the range that I'm watching. Able to top that and just treat them like that. Okay. In terms of RTH session, right? When I look at the TPOs, and on TPOs, you go RTH, on volume, you go extended. I'll let it load here quickly. So here's your POC. And what you want to do here is I don't really care for the candles. I just want to, know where the single prints are pretty much. And I would say that's a lot of single prints here. Okay, for new people, why are we marking this? Odds, why do you think we have this here?
Excessive high means the unction is finished.
Okay, that's good. What else does it mean? It's okay if you don't know. Somebody will jump in.
They're not bidding higher. They are not finding value above those levels.
For today, right? What else?
Unfair high in the
That's,
selling wick.
so if it's an unfair high, that means the value is too far away from the value, right? And that means somebody entered the market. Is that correct?
Seller's wick.
That means other time frame sellers, meaning not daily people,
Long.
not the people that they trade day to day. That means there's somebody that has a long-term vision and he's taking his profits here, either selling aggressively his inventory. If he's selling, right, somebody has to be buying, right? And if they're able to find buyers, right, we can auction higher, correct? But if the locals or dealers can't find as many buyers, what happens?
That's the other side.
Well, they have to get rid of the inventory. They have to start selling too, right? Is
Yes,
it crazy?
price
Or
comes down.
where did that go just now? What in the world is going on? Did I not draw a box that said excess high, or am I
Use the
hallucinating?
back arrow on the top.
Isn't that the box right there? That little box there?
Yeah, but where's the text?
Yeah, but Shorty, yeah, write it. Yeah.
Oh, excuse my lack of. I'm like, where did it go? So now, if you look at it, this is where the sellers showed up for this period. This is where other time frame sellers stepped in, and they said, "Hey, slow down. There's no value here for us. We're going to take money. We're going to sell our inventory." Right? The dealers are buying. So now, if there's more sellers tomorrow, let's say we come in tomorrow and we break above the value area high, and we come to these single prints. And what would you want to see if you're a bear?
Fail at the single prints and reject.
Yeah, we want
Pop
to
into
go.
it and reject.
Yeah, we want them to. Man, why is it locking? God, it's just annoying. We want them to get into this, right? And then we want them to fail, right? And that would be a pretty good level for them to execute on, especially because you have a lot of people that are bullish. I would be looking to see what do they do at this level, right? And I'm going to mark this TPO value area high level just because the time being spent here between, tomorrow. Is there a high chance that they can play both sides tomorrow? I would say there is. Just like Moody's, how many people expected a reaction out of Moody's, like downgrade? I would say a lot, right? Everybody was bloodbath, Monday coming, gap down 10%, 5%. And what did we do? We ripped a lot. We had an excessive rip in the market, right? So it's not like people are playing logically right now. And if you're to categorize single prints versus rational versus emotional buying, which one is it?
Single prints.
Emotional. Emotional.
Usually it's emotion driven buying. So you want to be aware of that, right? As you're trading tomorrow. So just I feel like my levels are just gone.
But in Shorty, when it's emotional trading, then why when price say come back to the top of the single print, it will bounce. Like
It will reject.
it will actually get buy. So say we have this today's CPI number single print. Why it becomes like a level of support that people want to buy?
So that's the first level. Usually, as soon as you crack this level, right? If you enter into the single prints, there's usually no coming back. That means you're going to fill this because there's no volume. There was zero interest here to trade at all. They said we have zero interest to trade in between here. So they pumped over it. So now, but if somebody starts selling at these prices, right? If somebody starts distributing and selling out of here, the dealers have to buy it.
Got it.
And as dealer buys it, he has to sell it to somebody else, right? So that's why, typically, single prints are usually filled, especially some of these that we've had recently. Oh, I'm like, man, I thought I marked the POC. I did. It was a different chart, man. Nobody told me. So I would definitely watch, obviously, the 24. You have the 44 then going up here. So these are the levels, the higher levels that we have. These are more, for me, scalping based on the volume, right? Okay.
Shorty, it looks like you were using when you did the TPO setting of 1.
Yep.
Based on the size. Okay, so then are you using 1 to get the POC, the TPOC?
I use 1 because I want to make sure that I'm catching all of the single prints.
Okay.
If you
But I mean the
use
value
something,
high and low for the TPO, you're also using 1?
that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. If you don't, then you're aggregating levels, right? So it might shift, but for TPO, I think that's the best way to handle it. All right. So tomorrow, ultimately what you don't want to see, but what do you not want to lose as a bull? What is it that you don't want to lose tomorrow? Let me give you both levels here.
I would not want to even touch the value low, simply because you're already in single prints.
Okay.
You don't want to lose the high
44,
volume node.
82.
Losing 85, there's a high chance you're going to retrace 50 points.
Yeah.
Right. Once you lose this yellow line,
High
which
volume
is
node, yeah.
like
Right.
on a P shape, when you have an HVN like this, if they lose that, then, they're most likely they're going to fill that. But in terms of, what Mr. Bean said, if we do lose this 449 psychological level 4,500 previous week POC, which we bounced perfectly from, and especially if you lose PD value low, it starts to turn a little bit, bias and bearish. Okay. So that's, I really don't want them to lose that if we want to see continuation up in terms of the market. Yes. Okay. Is there anything else you guys noted on the TPO?
It's actually a balanced day, looks like.
Definitely a P shape. Right. So when you think about it, this is a P shape. It didn't close where? It's P shape because you have a tail on the bottom, but it's a balance. Once you started consolidating, that's true. Correct. It's almost like a perfect distribution. And I mentioned that today. It looked like a perfect distribution after we, opened and then basically they auctioned a little bit. They didn't really do much. So tomorrow you can watch this value area high, break that. You could scalp that for 6 points. Not my cup of tea. I'm not so bullish, GIF. I said that I'm not initiating any longs at these levels. I'm bullish because there's people that are going to be late here. And those people can, it doesn't take much to trigger a human mind to buy more. Right. So they can push this. Oh, why was I open this morning? Oh, yeah. This morning, as soon as they came back, they left a decent trail on a delta. As I was watching them, they were coming up right to the delta. And I mean, if you're going to gap up like this, you're looking for opportunity to get back in. Because usually what happens with CPI is that moves are reversed immediately. I don't know if you guys paid attention to that. If CPI pumps and then they change their mind, what happens? You usually get a down candle. Did we get any down candles this morning and after they pumped? This right here. To me, this is not, any type of reversal. So that's why I was bullish, right? They came here and then they basically opened. If you look at the open today, let's go regular. They
It gave
came
you
here.
maybe a 10-point drop before
Yeah,
they
I mean,
pumped.
yeah, exactly. It was minimal on ES. On NQ, there was a little bit more space. And I think we caught NQ, most of us did, from the lows. But here, if you look at it, they never even, they never even broke the low here. They made a lower high, higher low. Then we started pretty much doing what they do. The only lower low that was put in a lower high was here. It's the only candle that had some volume on it. And then quickly, once they broke that, they continued. And then, they had a decent pullback today. When they pulled back, I don't know if you guys recall, when they pulled back to 50, I believe, here on NQ and I guess 4,500 on ES. And I mean, here you had decent opportunities to go along looking on volume, right? This is your stopping volume candle, probably take it above this. Could put it here or on the bottom here, depending on what's your appetite. 3 points is not bad when you just gapped up 80 points on ES, right? There's a high chance you could at least catch this to 15. So does everybody know what stopping volume is? Okay, I'll assume that most of you guys do. So stopping volume is wide body of volume on the bottom and a small body candle here. It's telling you there's an absorption basically, right? So like this candle here, if you guys look and compare it to this volume here, what do you see? Let me zoom in. Let me bring it down. Let me delete that now because you guys can't see the actual volume. So what do you see on this body and this? So, you know, the volume picked up compared to other candles, but look at the body, right? Small with the wick on the bottom. The way you can play these is just price structure, right? If you're able to, you know, some people would use this low here. If you break this, you go long, you can put this in between here, right? Or you look at previous lows, right? You can limit it, right? As you move up, as the price goes away in your favor, you can kind of trail, but you could also do something like this as your stop loss, and that comes out to be 4-to-1 trade. You could target first liquidity here, first resistance for 2.5, or you could target the previous level here that you had, previous high, which would have netted you about 4-to-1 trade, and that's pretty good. Okay. Okay, on the bottom, obviously, you don't have to look, right? You're going to have single prints here. You have access high. So usually when you have access high and access low, what do?
Revisit the next day or two.
That's when you have a
That's
poor high, poor
high
low.
and poor low. No?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, poor high, poor low, you revisit. When you have access high and access low, they already made a stamp that we didn't like the price here. So what you have to do now, just think about this. You want to buy a pair of shoes, and a guy at, let's say, Macy's, the store I hate, they're like, yeah, that'd be $500. You turn away, be like, no, and you just walk away, right? You're turned off by the price, right? You don't want it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna step away and you're gonna go on their website, and then occasionally you're gonna see if there's a sale. And then let's say if the price comes in at 280 with some discounts, you become a buyer, right? And that level that you just bought it at would be resembled to the POC because you're considering personally that to be a fair price. Remember, POC resembles, it is the fair price of that day. And that's how the two-sided activity is going to be established. For them, the goal is now to build as much value as they can in here. Because if they can make you believe that you can buy this product at this level and it's fair price, what can they do next? Can they not release some news that breaks this balance and it's like, okay, well, that product now is going higher,
Yep.
right? And that's how it works, right? Then, I mean, the whole market, the whole world works on supply and demand aspect when it comes to auctions, right? So that's why, you know, access highs doesn't mean it's immediately going to be revisited to resolve that. I mean, auction is closed, it's completed. On poor highs and poor lows, when unfinished auction occurs, they want to try to resolve it, right? And that's, you know, in our case, we don't have that. We have a poor high, we have access high and access low. Therefore, they just want to negotiate in between to find a fair price. And tomorrow, if they, you know, let's say we open within, I don't even know where we are right now. Well, obviously, we're breaking TPO value area high. Somebody believes that price is cheap, right? So they're going to potentially test this here shortly. I guess everything's cheap right now, but the food and everything else we use. Okay. So ultimately, we need to see this cracked for higher. If they go here and they break TPO value area high, what do you guys want to see then? You're coming back to the POC and ultimately 80% on this, right? Does that make sense? That's 80%. Does everybody know what 80% is?
The 10 minutes candle, and it cannot hold a value and then trade from one side to another side, like value area.
That it revisits from the high, extreme high, to the value area low, because if they didn't agree here, they're going to send the price much lower. And they need to find it where where people are going to find value at that product. And usually that means you're going to explore that area quickly. Okay. That's 80% rule. So you're looking for a short here. If this happens, if they go above and lose, this is your short here to POC, lose that. You're going TPO value or low. And then ideally, what they do is they come here and then reclaim. And then, you know, this would be a really good trap for shorts here. lose it, regain, bounce of single prints, and this will be my most looked out plate for tomorrow. I wouldn't be so excited about trading PPI because they can do totally opposite tomorrow, or just continue ripping. So I suggest, don't play it. It doesn't make sense to play binary events. Okay. Any particular tickers you guys are interested in? Seems like you guys became ES and NQ addicts. You guys forgot about other tickers.
Nvidia and Tesla, maybe.
Tesla's going 250. So you guys remember those calls from the Tesla?
Mm-hmm.
I believe they would be what, $27 in the money.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think Gift Trader said it wouldn't end in the money. I remember Gift. So if you go here, if you just look at it on a monthly, you'll be able to tell quickly what's going on in terms of where you're headed. And I think it's, if you draw even if you draw this here, it should give you the idea where you're headed right now. So you just got inside the value area low. Remember, they dumped Tesla. Now Tesla gets steam. They cool off Apple and Microsoft and just keep going up. This is what they want. They're going to hit these POCs that you see here. And they're going to have a reaction, I would say, all of these. And then ultimately, this is where we're headed. 254, 258. $17 to go. I would not initiate any longs here. Because remember how this was a bounce here when we bought the calls?
I remember seeing your drawing, yeah.
Yeah, so we bought calls here. Well, some of us, I did. We bought the calls here. I don't know how many. We bought them at $3.30. Don't quote me, I believe. $3.35. And we sold some at like 18, 19 bucks. So it was a good return. I don't even know how much these calls will be now. But if this was 1, 2, 3, 4 months POC that bounced us here, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months here, what do you expect to see here?
Sell back.
Sell back. This is where you enter shorts, right? And this is where people are going to go along because they're going to see that we might crack 250. You lose that, and then you probably clear this low if that's the case. You crack above and you lose it, you're going to break this and you're going to make a lower low here. NVIDIA had a really weird candle today.
Jesus.
Green.
Yeah, that's like a I hope you go up candle, because if it doesn't go up, man.
I think we have ER coming soon.
Yeah, it's coming up on 21st. Yeah, this has to revert to the mean. Honestly, the price is just running away. 455 is not bad, actually. I might play puts on this. I think they're gonna have bad news on the blockage of US sell. Didn't they block them from selling to China?
Yeah, they did.
I think
that's the initial drop for to the 400. I think.
I think they're gonna get dropped again on earnings. I'm gonna look to see if there's any cheap 450.
The option is juiced. Like it's next week's option is so expensive. Yeah, they're pricing in like 10% move.
Yeah, I mean that would be put it right here. And if you just gotta assume that you're gonna lose it all if they obviously go higher. You're gonna be a zero.
Yeah.
But I honestly would rather swing puts on the video than calls, right? So if you guys go on a weekly, right here, let me go. All right, what do you guys see here? Let's see.
The Dino.
So there was some buying here, right? It's buying. Then you had this area here that's down. From this candle here onwards, seems like it's slowing down, right? As we're pushing up, we're slowing down. We really haven't had a lot of selling that occurred yet, right? So there's not a lot of selling when you look at it monthly. When you look at this, there's some selling here that's occurring, right? And that would be inside. So you're consolidating. I'll probably get these guys right here. You're consolidating inside this 4, 5, 9, 6, and 371. Pretty fucking wide range to consolidate $120. Yeah. They just added $250 billion to their market cap, like within 10 days. And that's pretty extensive, right? So the best thing you can do here is you're inside of this, right? And if you look at the 2 SIGs and 3 SIGs in here, guess where we are?
Wow.
So
95%.
let's look and make sure that this is 2 SIG. The 2 SIG is literally sitting at the top right here, which is not the ideal scenario you want. But this is the last node here. So if they break this level here, 492, I would enter some puts, honestly. Even if they're juicy, I would play the puts to the downside. Could this move here? Oops, sorry. Volume and this does not add up. This is not something to look forward to. Then what do you see on this candle? On this weekly, there's a lot of anomalies. I'm just repeating this so you guys can start visualizing and seeing them yourselves. What's wrong with this candle?
I think that's their previous earning. Yeah.
I don't care what it is, right? Earnings or not. This tells you something.
They sold, they dumped it.
Yeah. A lot of selling interest.
Yeah.
So this is called, again, stopping volume absorption, right? So somebody was, okay, well, here's everything. If you want to buy, here you go. Highest volume you've seen since, let's just draw a level to see since when. Since when? Did you guys see a single bar above this bottom line?
Wow.
Let's see, I can do this. So let's see. So only happened in March 2020 when it dropped, when the random Corona showed up. That's the only day where it was higher. And if they bought it here with abundance, just think logically, guys. It's not rocket science, honestly. If they bought it here heavily, you really think they're buying it right here heavily?
No.
No.
You gotta be kidding me. Yeah, they're not buying here. I don't care who's buying here, but the institutional traders are not involved in this. Okay. AMD, same thing. AMD is coming up to a sell-off POC, which was a monthly consolidation POC. They got to lose 118 and great volume so far on on AMD, right? They're buying this as well. I don't
And-
necessarily see this as heavy buying here at the moment.
NQ's above the high of the day right now.
Today's high of the day?
Yep. The after hours is higher than the high of the day today already on NQ.
They are front running it, I guess.
They're running it still.
No, they just broke it. Wow. I don't want to tell you what to do, but watch what happens here. As they lose this level, here, let me tell you where they bounce. There, 11 points. From here to here. That trade.
It's also the forming POC for the day.
Play
Oh
this.
no, it's not.
Play
I guess
that.
it's 08. 08, I guess, is the forming POC.
There's some support here, right? At this level, but they're just running this right now like wild dogs.
Wow.
That was a stop loss candle. I guarantee you that's a stop loss candle. There must be some news or something came out. So Nvidia, Tesla, anything else? Amazon, is it over 140? 145?
145.
No, it's a really good level for a long entry on it. Well, never mind. I'm sorry. I was on 1 minute. I thought I was on 60 minutes. Let me see that they. Ooh, no. Hell no. I'll take that back. Good. Yeah. Good entry for some puts. Yeah. I would not be interested in buying this right now. No. Yeah. No, not me. Just pay attention to this box right here. Losing 140. Yeah. It's gonna be somewhat bloody for it. I've seen this play out on SPY. When they crossed 278, they did the same thing. Something like that. Yeah, I would not be interested in this. I did add some Clorox, so you guys know, to my portfolio. So I did add Clorox. I think it was somewhere around, and don't quote me on that, I'll have to check. Somewhere around here, 132. Here, I'll tell you in a second. Come on. Which account? At 132.68. So not a lot of up, but as soon as they crack this level, I would expect them to go higher, and they would be revisiting somewhere in this range, right? This is where they sold off from. So you'd be looking at 156. Would I trim some here? Yes, I would take some off because I didn't get the best fill. As you guys remember, we've been watching this for a while. This is like third time I missed it, and primarily here because they really had a lot of bad news around. I believe it was the hack. And I was not going to buy it right that day before earnings to risk some money there, so I did not buy that. But entry should have been around 125s, 120s, $7 better than what I did. Okay. All right, well, that's it for me. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I would advise that you guys don't trade as heavy in the morning. Let them, I promise, if you just let them develop the plays, let them give you the levels that they're working with, right? If you look at even today, right? If you go here and you look at the day, just look at the levels they're kind of giving you here, right? If they are giving you levels where you can short or go long on a retest, take that, right? Especially if you're on something like 5 minutes and you're seeing, let's say, that you're not able to crack this high here, right? Consolidating You go to value area low, you're hitting the bottom here, right at open. Not a bad long, to initiate, right? Over this, you can play the momentum breakout because they're most likely headed to the value area high of that. So there are certain rules that you can use, especially on, when you're trading with volume. You have the high volume nodes. If I'm watching for this, right? If they don't bounce right here, let's say 136 on CLX, there's a high chance that then they could fill this and come back to 136. And that's how I would play that. And, something like SPY would give you a little bit more liquidity. So if you guys look here, this is pretty spotty here in terms of levels and volume, right? Because there's a lot of small distributions that they had. And if you guys pay attention, each one of them was kind of congested and it had like a little tail on the top. So not the easiest day to trade on a retest, but at least they gave you some clues, right? When you guys look at the sell-off here, there's a lot of volume here. They went higher and they quickly retraced that. So why would this level be a decent short on a retest?
It's a POC.
It's a POC, but it was also a very good trap for the longs here. Because that means they trapped a lot of longs. They gave a little bit of hope to the bears, right? And they made it lower low and they basically came, if you think about it, if I was to exclude this and just go, let's say, to this level, that level here would be the POCs here. Because I included this little consolidation, it shifted it, right? So this POC comes somewhat as a target. So if you're shorting here, right? If you take this, let's say it's 448.35, you could do that. You could let your runners go from here to here, right? This would be a good level to trade. So if I was to play this just simply off of this, right? If I'm getting in here, how would I know my stop loss? What's the best way for me to find stop loss here?
ATR or previous high?
ATR, I could just say consolidation right here, right? And I could find the volume nodes where the consolidation is. We'll change this to 68, right? Look where no, let me just not extend it. If I know where the value area highs of that, right? I can go right above that and I could play this, right? So if I'm targeting something like this, that's a 4-to-1 trade. Pretty good trade. If I go, pessimistic, well, now I look at my stop loss. Okay, well, I can afford a little bit more. If I go to value area high, maybe just a penny above, that's almost a perfect trade. 3-to-1, you're retesting and you're taking the first POC here, which is also the volume node, and you're done. And you don't need this many trades, guys, per day to start accumulating your account. If you take 10 SPY contracts here, pretty sure you can make, I would say, 70% on this drop on SPY. If you go back on TOS or whatever you trade, look at the price option pricing at that time. Let's say you got in on the retest of this level. And from here to here, find a contract. You probably even on SPX, you could make a couple of $100 in split, seconds or minutes, whatever this took. 30 minutes, you could make probably 80% on SPX.
Yeah.
And
You mean 0 day, right?
Yeah. I usually, when I day trade, I play 0 day. I don't buy time on those. I want the returns. I'm playing directional quick moves.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I'll write up some notes for those that could not attend, and I'll post my thoughts on the Shorty's corner. And just FYI, when I trade live, right, I point out things before they happen. I tell you guys the levels I'm looking. Does anyone recall on NQ the 50 level today? I was after that level today. I was watching.
Gold number of times.
They came back, to a penny, right? And they gave it to you, right? And it was a really, really good level to kind of trade off of. So I took opportunity of that one, right? But I would say I was done before they even did that, right? For me, that was pretty much done deal. I shouldn't even have taken any more trades, but I did. I did well myself today, so hopefully you guys are at least picking some up, like especially when when catching rockets trading, when I'm trading. We're not doing it for ourselves to trade live. I can trade offline, right? In peace and quiet too. But when we're trading, it's also a good opportunity for you guys to ask questions. And the best question you can ask is why, right? And if you don't ask whys, you won't know when, right? When will you do it? So your key question is why? Why there? Why not there? Why are you doing this? And don't think you're annoying, right? Our job is to help you answer and understand it from what we see. How you're going to decipher the data doesn't have to be the same way how you decipher it, but as long as your probabilities of your edge and what you're trying to put together matches majority of the market participants, you're going to win. Right? You don't have to have the same. Me and Catching Rockets don't have the same style. We have the same process, but he uses, let's say, heat map. He uses slightly different setups than I do, but I would say 9 out of 10 times we're pretty aligned in terms of the levels that we want. Okay. All right, guys. Well, have a good night, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow.
Good night, Shorty. Thank you.
Shorty.
Thank you, Shorty.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night, guys.